In, as part of leadership series, I will be talking on how to see shadow. Do you know about the shadow world? I'm not talking about superheroes. I'm talking about learning to see the unseen and the darker side of life. You need to be able to read the world and see it and understand it. If you want to make really smart and informed decisions, watch this video to find out how. In this module, we introduce some ideas on how to learn about the shadows. The world that you see is not the world that is actually really is. There are always things that are hidden from us. Most things, in fact, are hidden from us. We never actually really see reality. Only the reality that is revealed to us or that people want us to see, how people really think and feel, what is really going on in different situations is never really certain. This is the shadow world where what actually happened is very different sometimes from what is seen and said. The first point to understand about the shadow world is that the full truth is very precious and you will rarely get the full truth unless it is from someone with whom you have very high levels of trust. Don't fool yourself just because you work next to someone for 3 years does not mean you really know about them or that they really trust you and everything and what they really think. Truth is a luxury, not a commodity. You should not expect people to be truthful for you because everyone always has their own agenda. We always adding a spin in order to seek influence and achieve our own goals and ambitions. That is not a bad thing. It's a human nature. What is a bad and foolish is to pretend that it does not happen. Does not don't be a naive. Learn to see the shadows. Why does that this matter? Because as a 21st century leader, people will always be presenting you with their version of events. They want to look good and influence you in the ways that are advantageous for them. You need to be aware of this manipulation point and find your ways through the darkness to achieve your goals. Believe you before you feel too soft about all of this. Remember, we do this, including you and me. It is a human nature to present things in the best possible light so that we can move towards achieving our goals. To be clear, the shadow world is not necessarily about lying. It is about understanding that information is always subjective and that we can choose what information to include or leave out, or we can choose to present information in a certain way. In particular, we notice that this with the statistics and numbers. People think that because of numbers and statistics seems somehow how more real and tangible, that they must somehow be truthful. That is superior in some way to mere words, but this is a complete lie, as we have seen in countless corporate scandals. Just because the numbers can be dressed up and in any way to make someone look good. Another example is how we manipulate the way we present information. For example, in England, recently gay marriage was legalized. However, the newspaper carried the title that 20% of the people won't attend a gay marriage. Now, this of course sounds like a significant portion, but let's imagine the headliner another way around 80% of the people would attend the gay marriage. That puts a completely different spin on the things. And this is something that the media and indeed all organization and the people do, how they present the information plays a crucial role in how they influence people around them. Numbers as well as facts as well as certain truths and beliefs are easily manipulated. Don't be fooled by people trying to be clever and present a lot of data. Always look to the heart of what they are saying. The key point is that we have to be aware that we never really see the true reality, only what people actually want us to see. So, in order to have that rich understanding of the world and really know what is going on, you have to learn to see the shadows to build that better understanding. An example of this has been the scandals around FIFA and the World Cup. in Qatar in 2022. Obviously, the data is still not clear. We do not know exactly what is going on, but what is clear in that there are scandals and rumors flying around of bribery and corruption, and what we can see here is a certain truth, which is that where the light shines the brightest, there are also find darkest shadows. And I think it is an important thing to remember as a 21st century leader that when things seem so amazing, there is always a little darkness in there somewhere just hiding in the shadows. And if you look that, then you will find it. Why does that matter? It matters because as a leader, we need to understand why it is what is really going on in the world. We cannot afford to be naive. We need to be engaged in reality so that we can ensure that we and our organization and teams move forward successfully. If we are being manipulated, then we should know about it, and so that's why we need to develop the skills of searching in the shadows, and that's why you have this framework in front of you to help you do that. There is a lot of this concept, but what we have identified are five important areas which we suggest you think about. The first is the unsaid. What people present information to you, there is always something that they have chosen not to tell you about. When you are listening to someone, ask yourself, what is the person not telling me? And why are they not revealing that to me? And the question that try and dig into that and try and find out what that person is hiding from you. This takes us to the hidden pattern. The hidden pattern is the step up from the onset. It is going to be recognizing which you will be manipulated, which you are being manipulated. It is hard to specifically identify, but you basically recognize it, and the distinction in the in the sorry, in the difference between what you are being told and what is being said. So, for example, in the Ukraine at the present moment, there are crises around Russian intervention and independence. Now, Russia, of course, is presenting itself not intervening at all in the situation, and yet we see large areas of the Ukraine somehow magically declaring themselves to be independent and now wanting to become Russians. There is a hidden pattern there, but we also have to be careful because we do not know exactly what is going on. So we cannot be too quick to assume that we know exactly the truth or that we can say it that what is being said and what is really happening. What is really happening are not aligned, and we need to be savvy enough to recognize that step three is the dark and the light, and that goes into what I was talking about, where the light is brightest. There you will find the darkest shadows, and this is something that is simply true in human nature. When we got good do good things, we allow ourselves the excuses of somehow doing bad things, and that is where we need to make sure that we are being transparent, because it is transparency that helps us come forth. A powerful example of this is the section that sexual scandals of Catholic Church, and what has been happening with the priest and young boys. This is a scandal that has been going on for a long time, and whereas the church was considered as a very positive things, and the light, and we could say we can also understand how within this that light some people could hide absolute darkness. So do not believe that it is too good to be true. Whereas there is a light, there will be dark. Be smart and try to find out where it is. Step 5, the cynic people are lazy, greedy and scared, once wrote a historian, and that's what drives history. We are looking for easy ways for doing things that we can get more for less, and that we are always running away from what we are scared and so that we can be safe. What does he mean by this? Of course, it is cynical way of seeing the world, and I do not suggest that you take that as your own default worldview, but it is an interesting way of understanding people's primal motivations. People are always looking to find easy ways of doing things, and they always want to have more for less, and often they are driven by fear rather than what they wanting. So use those to understand the human psyche and the people that you are working with. What is it that they are trying to achieve? Everyone has an agenda, so make sure that you understand the true agenda of the people that you are working with, and do not think it is what they tell you it is. Take the time to dig a little deeper and use your cynicism to reveal what's being hidden. And then the final part here is the Shadow Alliance. The Shadow Alliance describes the concept in which a group of people might profess to support you, but actually in reality they are working in the shadows against you. That's where the phrase comes from. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer, because it is sounds advice and recognizing that you do not know who are your enemies and who you do not know who might be secretly working against you. Now, this might be a business, or this might be someone who simply has a personal grudge against you and sabotage everything that you do. So make sure that you have a smart awareness of what is really happening and look out for the groups of people who are maybe seeking to influence you in a negative way. Now, all of this might mean that you are slightly paranoid, and is a certain balance here, because on one hand, yes, you do not want to be paranoid, but on the other hand, there is a shadow world, and it would be naive to pretend it isn't there. So it is up to you as a 21st century leader to try and use your judgment to find the right balance here. There is no right and wrong answer. It is always a set of gray. So use your developing judgment to understand the shadow world and find your ways forward. What do you need to do? And you need to use the shadow framework to search for the hidden information. Remember, this is about being discreet. You cannot just be go up to someone and demand of them. They tell you the information that they have been hiding from you. You will just come across as a paranoid and crazy. So instead, be subtle and discreet and take your time. That takes up to step two, which is to be careful not to make quick assumptions. It is very easy to hear a few pieces of information and make judgment on them, which turn out to be completely false. And then step three, use your growing understanding of the shadow world to be effective at influencing others. Everyone is playing the shadow game, and make sure that you are playing at a competent enough level that you can achieve your goals. In summary, when you communicate, realize that not everything is presented to you, and that there is a shadow world that you need to walk to reveal. Listen and learn to see the shadows. They are going to be revealed immediately. Instead, be patient and look to see it. You cannot see a shadow directly. You need to be light to the light to shine on something, and that will reveal the shadows. So in the same way, be subtle and discreet, and if you are patient enough, you will start to see the shadows. And finally, what does that matter? Why does that matter? Because it's your job to make sure you have the right information to make the right decisions, and sometimes that requires that you understand what is happening in the shadows.